The rain shadow effect is simple. You need two things: an ocean or large body of water and a mountain. What happens is evaporation from the surface of a large body of water creates moist air. That moist air from prevailing winds gets pushed to the base of a mountain, and since it's hit a mountain, it can only go up. And this side of the mountain here is called the windward side, and as it travels up the windward side, the air cools. And you guys know the water cycle. When air cools, clouds form, it rains. We get some rain here. And, when it rains, things grow. We get forest and trees and plants and all that fun stuff. But now the clouds don't have any rain in them, and as they travel over the mountain, they get warm. And warm air, we know, as we saw earlier, leads to evaporation. I'm not entirely sure what happened to my screen just there. But, so this area never gets any rain, and any water it does have gets evaporated. So this area becomes a desert. And this is your rain shadow right here. There are lots of areas where you can see this, some of them being the west of the Great Driving Range in Australia, north of the Himalayas in Asia, east of the Sierra Nevada mountain range in California, where you have a lot of the forest fires and stuff you see on the news. An important thing to mention is that trade winds are required for a rain shadow effect to occur. And earlier we were talking about California, and as you can see, you've got the 30 degree, 60 degree latitude in there. That's exactly where your rain shadow effect would be, somewhere right here. Rain shadow effects aren't all sunshine and rainbows. Rain shadow effects, which are also known as orographic rain shadows, are prevalent in Washington. You've got the Olympic National Park, where the Olympic Mountains are, which has a rain shadow effect. The Northern Cascades has a rain shadow effect, and makes lots of sense because there's lots of water, and we saw earlier the strong 30 and 60 degree trade winds. The problem with the Northern Cascades is it's a very strong orographic rain shadow, which isn't the problem. The problem is it varies from storm to storm and from year to year significantly. Rain shadow variance causes a lot of problems because crop irrigation, hydroelectric power, spawning habitats for salmon, which that would be specific to Washington, but and drinking water are all dependent on the rain shadow effect. Two studies were conducted about the increasing variability of the rain shadow effect in the Northern Cascades. The first study, which you can see here, was found that around 70% of the variability in the rain shadow during the winter could be explained by the fluctuations in large-scale atmospheric circulation caused in part by El Nino. So El Nino is getting more severe, as we know, due to climate change, and it's affecting the rain shadow in Washington and causing all these problems. But it's not only that. Both the studies and the second study, you can see here, that was in 2015, both of the studies found that the weak rain shadows tended to coincide with the passage of warm or oculated fronts through the region. The studies concluded that the warmer the air coming through, the weaker the rain shadows. And obviously it wasn't always like that, but for the most part. This indicates that climate change is affecting the rain shadow effect. El Nino has become more severe and the planet is getting warmer. With the warmer air, less and less water will reach the Northern Cascades, which will negatively affect the hydroelectric power, the drinking water, the crop irrigation, and the other items I mentioned a minute ago. Of course, this is probably happening in more than just Washington, and it's if it's not already a problem, it's going to be a problem soon. To recap, the rain shadow effect is not a problem. It's not something created by man. It's natural. It doesn't need to be remediated. The problem is the warming of the atmosphere. That needs to be stopped, and we need to cut back on our emissions, and we need to, do all the standard stuff that we talk about in AP Earth to make sure that our planet isn't getting any warmer, because as things get warmer, things go wrong, and there are unintended consequences like you see in Washington. And that's the rain shadow effect. Thank you.